It was a night like any other when Emily moved into the old Victorian house on Oak Street. The kind of place that looked like it belonged in a horror movie. Creaky floors, tall windows that always seemed to let in more shadows than light. But it was affordable, and she needed the space. The real estate agent had said, "It's a fixer-upper, but with potential." That night, after unpacking, Emily sat down by the window in her new room, sipping tea and trying to adjust to the silence. The wind howled outside, but there was something strangely calming about it. She glanced out, taking in the dark, empty street. The trees in the yard swayed like twisted, skeletal hands reaching toward her. As the clock struck midnight, she noticed something strange in the reflection of the window. At first it was just a flicker, a shadow that seemed out of place. But then it moved. Not the way the wind moved the branches, but something more deliberate. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The reflection in the window didn't match what was happening outside. She could see a figure standing just behind her, barely visible in the glass. It was a tall man, his face obscured by the shadows, but his presence was unmistakable. He didn't move, he just watched. Heart pounding, Emily spun around, but the room was empty. She ran to the door, throwing it open to find nothing but the cold, empty hallway. Shaking her head, she tried to convince herself it was her imagination. She had just moved in, the house was old, and her nerves were on edge. But as she turned back to the window, the reflection of the figure was there again, closer now. The man was standing right behind her, just inches away, his face still hidden. Her pulse raced as she stared at the glass. This wasn't possible. She spun around again. The room was still empty, but as she faced the window once more, the figure was now smiling. His eyes glinted with malice, and his lips twisted in an unnatural grin that seemed to stretch wider and wider. The air in the room grew cold, and Emily could see her breath fogging up the glass. The figure raised a hand and placed it against the window from the outside, pressing it to the glass with an eerie, deliberate slowness. Then, in the reflection, his hand appeared on the other side of the room, pressed up against the wall behind her. Frozen in terror, Emily's mind raced. She could hear faint footsteps echoing in the hallway behind her now, slow and measured. She had to leave. She knew she had to get out of there. But as she turned to run, a loud bang echoed from the hallway. The door slammed shut on its own. She screamed and tried to pull it open, but it wouldn't budge. Panic gripped her. Her eyes darted back to the window. And there, the reflection of the figure wasn't just standing anymore. He was leaning in closer, so close his nose almost touched the glass. She had to get out. Frantic, she grabbed her phone, but the screen went black. No signal. She turned back to the window, and now the man's reflection wasn't a reflection at all. It was real. His pale face pressed against the glass, his smile widening. The last thing Emily saw before the lights went out was his hand slowly reaching for the lock on the window.